Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Today I would come and show you guys a second look with the Nomad Okavango Safari palette because I've only used it once. I was really excited by the first look, so I definitely wanted to come back and give you guys more looks. So we're not gonna dilly-dally on this intro. I will go ahead and link my first video down below, which has all of the live swatches and just kind of like my first reactions in case you want to check that out. This is gonna be a second impressions, so go watch the first video if you're curious about it, but let's go ahead and dive in. And if this is your first time watching me, hi, welcome. I'm Jamila. I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup and skincare, and I especially love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I would absolutely love if you would consider subscribing and joining the fam. All right, so like I said, we're gonna do a second look with this Nomad palette. I'm gonna bring you guys in a little bit, well, a lot bit closer so that we can really just dive into the eyes. Now for today's look, I do want to go ahead and play in the greens and some of the other colors that I didn't get a chance to use because the first look was really just kind of like neutral, simple, everyday friendly look. I'm going to start by going in with the shade, what is this called? Vambara Plains. Actually, let's start with Marem Game Reserve. So I'm going to start with Marem Game Reserve. I wasn't going to start with it because the truth is I honestly don't know if this is going to show up on me. These type of green yellow looks typically don't. Oh, it is. Look at God. So I kind of assumed it wouldn't because the one right above it didn't, but look, it's showing up. So shouldn't have judged it, or prejudged it, I should say. So I'm going to start putting that in the crease as my transition shade. Now, since posting my first video, I have watched a lot of other reviews on this palette. I purposely didn't watch any reviews before filming mine because I didn't want that to influence my video. For the most part, whenever I'm doing a review or first impressions on a palette, I don't like watching other creators because I don't want it to color my judgment before I've had a chance to try it without anything influencing it. So I didn't watch a lot or any reviews before I did mine. But since I posted mine, I did start looking at a couple other creators because there are so much reviews out there. And it was just kind of like a quick reminder to me to, and probably for you all to watch a lot of creators before you decide to purchase a palette, because I am seeing pretty mixed reviews on this. I personally, from my first impressions, liked it, had no issues with it whatsoever, but I'm seeing a lot of other people saying that it's hard pressed or they're getting hard pan, and I didn't experience that, and I don't think that's something I've ever experienced with Nomad shadows, but it was really good kind of listening to other creators and hearing their experience because that's the thing, right? Makeup is so personal and so diverse that what works for me isn't going to work for other people. And that's completely fine. Like, I have some of my really good friends on here who don't like Nomad shadows, and we agree on other things. We agree on other products that we like, but for them, Nomad isn't it. And not everybody's gonna like everything. So it's so important to look at reviews from multiple different people to figure out if it's a quality thing or if it's a preference thing. And sometimes quality and preference could be the same thing. But yeah, it's just been interesting looking at some of the other videos that I've seen. Now, I will say that when I saw people saying that these, I'm not even telling you what's up with my eyes. Now I'm going in with this second green matte. It's called Vambara Plains. That's the first one that I was planning to go in with. This is definitely more of a bright, limey lemon green. So I'm putting that in the crease as well, as well as in the front part of the eyes here. Anyways, so as I was saying, when I did hear some people say that the shades were hard pressed, I was like, you know what? I could see that. I definitely did notice that some of the shimmers were a lot more hard pressed than others. Especially when I went in with like my finger application, and I swatched it. I was like, oh, these feel a little bit more hard pressed. So I definitely agree there. I don't know if I really mentioned it. I might have briefly mentioned it in my original video. But if I didn't, it is something that I noticed. But it wasn't something that I noticed to the point of it was hard pressed and it affected the application. or the quality, in my opinion. But that was just me. But I did want to mention that I noticed that. Next, I'm going to go into Chief's Island. It's the dark green, using the same brush I used for that second shade. And I'm going to start deepening up the outer V. Okay. The issue of the shadows getting hard pan, though, that was not one that I experienced. And I was really curious watching a couple of the other folks' reviews as to why they were experiencing hard pan. Hard pan is not an issue that I've ever had with Nomad shadows. Hard pressed, yes. I've definitely seen some of their palettes where the shadows are super hard pressed. And I actually think there was one that they offered to resend people palettes because it was super hard pressed. But I've never experienced any hard pan. Now, I do know that hard pan can sometimes happen when you apply moisture to your palette. So like if you spray your brush to make things a little bit more metallic. That is a technique that I rarely ever use with my shadows, if I'm being honest. Like I will rarely ever spray my brush to intensify a metallic. I will mention that it is a possibility, but it's not something that I do for the most part. So I do wonder if folks are spraying their brush or something to that effect, which is resulting in hard pan. Again, this is why it's so important to watch multiple creators, and especially to watch creators who apply their eyeshadow like you. I find that to be one of the most helpful when it comes to reviews. Like sometimes I'll watch reviews of folks who apply their shadows in a completely different technique from mine, and it isn't helpful to me because I'm like, I don't do that. So I like to look for creators who apply shadows in the same way or the same technique, unless I'm looking to try a new technique. For example, for the most part, I like to apply light to dark. There are a number of folks who prefer dark to light, and for me, I don't tend to watch a lot of those reviews unless I'm trying to get better at applying from dark to light, because I found that light to dark works for me. So I stick with it, but I am interested in understanding better how to do dark to light. So that is that. So again, watching creators who have a similar application technique as me is really important, as well as watching creators who have a similar complexion. One of the other things that I keep seeing, or I've seen a couple of times, is people keep calling this a grungy palette, a grungy neutral palette, and I'm like, where? Maybe it's just me, and I think this is where the different skin tones come into play here, because for someone of my complexion, this is just a neutral palette. This is like a great palette for my skin tone, but I can understand if someone of a lighter complexion is like, you know what, this is a little grungy, it's a little bit deep. But for me, I was like, this is great. I can actually use these shades and there aren't any dusty ashy browns in here. So when I've heard it being referred to as grungy, I was like, never in my wildest dreams would I have considered this palette a grungy palette, because for me and for my skin tone, this is just a neutral palette. Okay, and then for the last matte, I'm gonna go into Rumbling Elephants, and I am going to use that to try to deepen up this green a little bit. See how that works. Is anything happening? Okay, it's getting a little depth. I feel like it looks deeper on camera than in person, but we just gonna rock with this for right now. And this is probably one of my most imprecise blendings, so I will definitely be doing a lot of cleaning up before I show you guys the final look. But I will say, applying this Rumbling Elephants shade to the green, it's working nicely. As in, there is no patchiness or muddiness or weird blending that I sometimes get with other shadows that don't build and blend on top of each other. This is blending really nicely. Okay, for shimmers, I do want to do two shimmers. I want to start with, I want to go into the green shimmer here as well as this one, which both of them are swirl shimmers, and I think that these swirl ones are the ones that are a little bit more hard pressed and you have to do a little bit of digging into it. And I'm gonna go in with my finger because it's just gonna be faster that way. So that green one is called Nile Crocodiles. It's really pretty green. And I'm gonna put that into the center of the eye. And yeah, as soon as you like dip your finger into it, you can feel how much more hard pressed it is. That is really pretty shine. And I'll be sure to clean everything up. But for the inner part, I'm gonna go into the zebra shade. It's Migrating Zebras. Now this, to me, has a little bit of purple in there. It's like a gray purple kind of shade in my opinion. Oh, I thought that was lighter. Meh. Oh well. We're gonna rock with it. I'm gonna blend that into the green. I thought this would look a little bit lighter, but it's okay. It is what it is. This isn't bad though. It's kind of cute. I swear, some of my mistakes end up being my favorite looks. Now, what I will say about the finger application is that sometimes when it applies on the finger, it doesn't transfer very easily to the eyes. So that is something that I have noticed, is that it kind of sticks on the finger a little bit. Like there is a ton of product from both of those shades on my finger, even though I am pressing it onto my lids. For example, that green shade. Ton of product, and I still have product left over. So it doesn't transfer as easily from the finger to the eyes. Okay, so this is what the eyes are looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and clean things up, blend blend things together, and I'll come back and show you guys the final look. Okay guys, I'm back and this is the final look, which I really like. Honestly, I wasn't too sure about the silver in the front because it is a little bit dark, but together, it pulled everything together. So let me just quickly tell you guys what else I'm wearing on the rest of my face. So I am still wearing my Givenchy Prisme matte Prisme. I think it's Prisme. I'm wearing my Givenchy Prisme Libre matte foundation along with my Sephora concealer. That was also my eyeshadow primer. For my bronzer, I did go in with my LYS bronzer, topped with, which other one? I put another one on top of it. So I went in with my LYS bronzer, and then I topped it with my Kosas bronzer. So those are the two that I am mixing today. For my blush, I did go in with my Blonzer, the Kiss of Copper Blonzer from Bare Minerals. And for highlights, I pulled out a goodie, not goodie, but an oldie. And this is the old Charlotte Tilbury Nude Gasm Face Palette. I think the Love Gasm is out right now. I'm not a huge fan of this one because these don't work for me. These two do, but these don't. But that's what I'm wearing as my highlight. And that's that. And just to quickly let you guys know, for the waterline, what I did go ahead and do is I went in with this green shade and then this green shade in the outer part of the eye, and then I took this green shade in the inner part of the eye. So for the most part, I have used at least once almost all of the shades in this palette. I haven't used this one yet, and that might be it. Yeah, this is the only one that I haven't actually used yet. This one, I will say that even though I have used it, it's only been that inner part of the eye. So there's still a lot more that I can use and play with this palette. Okay, Light, what are you doing? So just to give you guys my quick second impressions thoughts, I still really like this palette. I think it's really beautiful. I love the Nomad eyeshadow formula, and I didn't have any issues using this. In terms of some of the concerns that other folks have, I think they're 100% completely valid. Not everyone is gonna have the same experience using a palette of product in any way because we have different skin tones, we have different skin types, we have different skin concerns, all of that. So I definitely recommend you look at multiple videos before you decide if this is something that is worth picking up. What I will say is that I do agree that there are some of these shades that are hard pressed, and that just means that it's much harder to pick up with a brush, and even kind of hard to pick up with a finger, if we're being honest. I have not experienced any hard pan with any of these shades. I don't know why that's happening for folks. I just can say it doesn't happen for me. I've never experienced hard pan, but I do know that some of these shades are on the more hard pressed side. So that might be a little bit annoying and a little bit more work than some of you guys want to do, which is fine because I'm here for the soft life as well. So if it's, so if it's too much work, I fully understand that. But overall, I do love this. I think that this is an absolutely beautiful color story. I would not describe this as a grungy neutral palette because for someone of my complexion, these are the shades that work for me. I'm really impressed with how well this is as a neutral palette because of the fact that all of the shades work for me, except for that one shade that I could use to set my lid. This doesn't really work for me, but everything else does. And that's one thing I appreciate about this palette is the amount of richness in it, because as someone of a deeper complexion, these things don't pull grungy on me, they just work. So if you are deeper, I do think that this is a really nice neutral palette for us. If you are lighter, it might be on the grungy side for you, but I do think that the mattes are really soft and not as punchy as some of the previous Nomad mattes, which does mean that I do think you can blend it out a little bit and get a much softer look. But this is just my second impressions video. This is how I feel about it now. I will continue to use this palette because it is a beautiful one. As of right now, I can tell you guys I really do like it. I think it's beautiful. I enjoy working with it. And yeah, those are my first impression thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this quick follow-up video and getting some inspiration for another look. This is definitely more colorful. So I know I've been talking about it being a neutral palette, but then we have this green and this kind of silver, which gives it a little bit of drama. So it does have some versatility to it. It's not just all browns. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this follow-up video on the Nomad Okavango palette. If you are planning to pick this up, it is available now. It retails for $42 USD. It is not limited edition. So if you do want to wait for a sale from Nomad, listen, I'm here for a sale too. So I don't think you have to rush and pick this up because it's a neutral palette. If, however, you do plan to pick this up, there are a number of creator codes out there. My code is just Jamila. It is not affiliated. I don't make any money off of it, but it will save you 10% off of your purchase, which is about the price of shipping, more or less. So whatever you do, don't pay full price. Don't pay full price makeup. We don't do that over here, y'all. Rule number one. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Join the fam. Tons of content here and a lot more diverse content. I've been getting into diversifying this platform and I don't know why I'm body rolling, but I've been getting really into adding a lot of different content on here. Some fashion, some bags, some travel, all that fun jazz. I have a couple of travel blogs that I don't know how to edit, so when it up, you'll see. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun jazz. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this, and I appreciate you so much more than you know, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!